It is time to get out of pocket. I'm your host, Michael Davis, right here live on Boom Broadcasting. It is a Friday afternoon. I hope you guys are joining us. You're enjoying the content the team has brought you this entire week. It has been a wild, wild week. From talking about Bill Belichick becoming a coach in the college ranks for the UNC Tar Heels yesterday, to Juan Soto starting the week off with a huge signing, the richest contract in Major League Baseball history. And we're going to do our NFL picks today with our panel. But let me introduce our panel real quick, because before we even do the NFL picks, we got to talk about what happened last night. And we're not talking about the explosive offense that this guy thought was going to happen. He is the guy from Drew Code Sports Talk, a good friend of Boom Broadcasting and the team. We got Cody here in the house. Cody, I thought about you today.
Yeah.
Not to be creepy at all, but
sure.
I'm driving in, mind you, North Carolina, and I see a license plate in front of me that says Al Davis 1, and right below it is a Raiders decal.
Yep.
I was like, Cody, why didn't you tell me you were in town?
You know what? Actually, I think the last time I was in North Carolina was almost 10 years ago, but I'm sorry, man. I must have missed that part of it. I didn't realize my license plate was Al Davis, but the next time I'm in town, we'll get this thing popping. So
well, I'm glad you made it back in time for the show, because that would have been disappointing. Speaking of disappointing, the Cowboys have been disappointing. The Panthers have been disappointing. We'll predict that game with our resident Panthers fan, the host of the Gridiron Address. I got my guy, Aaron Schneider, here on the show. Aaron, that's an interesting Christmas sweater you got there.
It is. It's a Panthers Christmas sweater.
Oh, I was hoping you would say Tar Heel blue, but that's okay.
If I can get my hands on a Tar Heels Christmas sweater, I'll get it.
Yeah.
Neither of those options are okay. But we hopefully won't see this guy wearing his Giants garbage today. But he's the host of Three from Deep and the co-host of Sideline Savants, your fantasy football show, which if you're in your fantasy football playoffs, unlike me and Aaron in one of our leagues, you want to watch their show. They have given great advice this time of year. We got Jason, Mr. NY, and never mind, his tag says it's Jason, but that looks like Rudolph.
A little bit. Feeling the Christmas spirit here. How's everybody doing today? Happy Friday.
Spirits are up now.
Spirits are up now. Do you have any reindeer games that you like to play?
I do. It's definitely not Thursday night football games, because that game last night was atrocious, but we'll get into that after. But just wanted to bring some seriousness to this panel here. So, let's get it on.
We appreciate that. And you mentioned that game last night. We gotta mention more. Like, there wasn't much to write home about in terms of the actual game. It was the first game this season that didn't have a touchdown. The Rams won 12-6. I sure Podcast Smitty didn't love that. I had Brock Purdy on my fantasy team that I started. I definitely didn't like that. But the bigger story from this game was Devondre Campbell refusing, after another linebacker got hurt, to enter the game. Kyle Shanahan was confused, and then later was like, yo, what's up? And once he realized Campbell was refusing to enter the game, that's where things got interesting. Because, guys, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Campbell was out of pocket. And he was so far from the pocket, he's not even in the blue jeans. For you to refuse to enter a game, especially after seeing one of your fellow teammates get hurt, refusing to help your team win a very, very pivotal game. Now, if this was Carolina and they were completely out of it, or Dallas, or the Giants, or actually all our teams suck. All our teams, and they're like, hey, my shoulder's hurt. Like, I don't want to risk further injury. that's one thing. But to flat out refuse as a healthy player to enter the game of your team vying for a playoff spot when they needed you the most, guys, this is unforgivable. I don't know how, what, why this situation came about. I'm going to go ahead and say this. He's so out of pocket that the 49ers might cut him. And if I'm one of the other 31 NFL teams, I'm not grabbing him either. Cody, what do you think about this?
This is kind of reminiscent of when AB, was playing the the Jets when he was with the Buccaneers, and he refused to go in because he claimed he had an ankle injury. Bruce Arians couldn't get him in the game. And then, as everyone knows, basically took off all of his gear and then just ran off the field. But I think why this is so much worse is because everyone knew that AB was a wild card no matter what team he was on. He had drama when he was with the Raiders, even though it was during their offseason, didn't play a single down for us. We hear about the reports of how drama AB was when he was with the Steelers, but with what Campbell did is he signs with the Niners in the notion knowing that you are on a roster that's trying to get in and make a deep run in the playoffs. So you got to know your role. And the fact that on national television in a divisional game, when the game is in hand and essentially the heart of the defense comes back in Greenland, you don't go in relief of him. This just has so much of a, being a poor sport for your own team. And I've seen some people criticizing even Shanahan about losing the locker room, which, if I'm being honest, I don't think anything of that nature. I think this is just an individual who knew what he was going to do, facilitated that, did that on his own. And I don't think there's really a culture problem in their locker room. But the fact that he did this, his career is probably over in the NFL. And to be fair, he probably only had a few seasons left to begin with, because as I'm looking at his stats, he's 31. He's been on numerous NFC teams. This was probably his last shot to really be on a playoff caliber team. He just, whatever hopes that he had to be on a contending team to play a longer career, probably just up in smoke. And we will now either see him in the USFL or CFL, or he'll just be another radio personality that goes into the stratosphere, because no one's going to want to bring him onto their team knowing that he knowingly and willingly did that. And I think it's one of the most egregious things you can do in sports.
It to me is one of the most egregious things you can do in sports. And Aaron, his teammates didn't take too kindly to it either. And he was heavily criticized by not only his teammates, but even Kyle Shanahan publicly criticized Campbell for his decision last night.
I mean, that is completely warranted. That there's a couple of players on that 49ers team that are dealing with serious personal issues. And, Travarius Ward, I mean, he lost his daughter, and that's just terrible. So that's got to feel personal for him, because he's still out there trying to fight for a playoff spot. And then you got Devondre Campbell, who's just quitting on the team because he doesn't feel like it, which is ridiculous. So I understand the player's frustration with him, and I don't think that he belongs on any professional football team. USFL, XFL, CFL, he needs to be done. Yeah,
and there's reports right now he's not expected to be with the 49ers come next week. It's I don't even know. I'm gonna pull up some quotes as well from some of his teammates, from his coach. And George Kittle even said, "I just don't see how you can do that to your team." And that's coming from a locker room leader. Jason, you and I were texting back and forth about this. This is absolutely crazy. By the way, we had Podcast Smitty on yesterday, 49ers fan. He's come in on YouTube just like you guys can do during our live stream. And Podcast Me, as a 49ers fan, says, "Get him out of here." Jason, do you think that's the route they're about to go?
I'm surprised they didn't cut him as soon as he walked off the field. Definitely inexcusable. I mean, it's one thing not to go into the game or refuse to go into the game, but then to physically walk off the field, that's a whole nother thing. And the real reason why this is such a huge story is because the game stunk. I mean, it was a terrible game last night. We're looking for something to kind of hold on to. You're talking about a 12-6 football game in prime time. It was, the Rams just come off of scoring 30 plus, 40 plus points against the Buffalo Bills, and all of a sudden you have this kind of game. So that's why this is kind of echoing so much louder. I would not be surprised to hear that maybe something else was going on in the locker room with this person, because for him to walk off and do what he did, there had to be some writing on the wall. This is just not all of a sudden in the third quarter, I'm done, I'm out, F this team, I'm out of here. Like, you know, I know we had, and I'm trying to remember where it was. I know the one, I'm trying to remember who it was, walked into halftime and essentially retired.
Vontae Davis of the Indianapolis Colts.
Colts, yeah. And as I'm trying to remember who that was. So, I mean, something like that, that's an emotional kind of response. This was some frustration and some anger. And I would suspect that somebody in the team had to have known that this individual was angry and upset, and you know, he was essentially losing his job already. So for him to do what he did, it was more of he was trying to make a statement about the team. So, but it was definitely egregious. Sports is a brotherhood. And you don't walk out on your brothers. You don't, you know, especially football, those guys in the trenches, going to war, battered up, bruised, hurt every day. You're talking about far into the season now. So, you know, guys are playing with all kinds of injuries, you know, with things going on at home. You know, everybody has a home life too. You know, we talked about, you know, some of the delicate things that are going on with some of his other players. And that's why those players are upset, and rightfully so, because for him to be that selfish and make a scene, like, this could have been quiet. He could have said, like, I'm not going in. I'm going to sit on the bench. I'm going to be quiet. Let's let it go. I'll talk to you after the game. But for him to, like, walk out in the middle of the third quarter, he was trying to make a point, and it was a poor point. And, you know, he definitely will not be on that team. Will he get another shot? I doubt it. Again, he is farther along in his career. I don't suspect he'll play football again, because I just don't think he wants to. So it's very disappointing. And whenever you see something like this, there's something else is behind this. So I don't know. Bad move.
Yeah, I would agree. It's so frustrating because you're like, you have that stage. It's also a Thursday night game. Everybody is watching this game. At least those people who have Prime Video and can, you know, watch the Thursday night football games. And the fact that he, like, left, and Aaron brought up a good point. Like, Travarius Ward lost his daughter at 1 year old about 6 weeks ago. Yep. And that's tough. Like, if Ward in that situation was like, hey, I'm just not mentally prepared to play football the rest of the year, you know what I would say? Okay. Like, that's a totally fair response. But Travarius Ward commented after this happened, and, you know, he said basically Campbell shouldn't have dressed if he didn't want to be on the field. And Ward, you know, acknowledged that his absence definitely hurt the team. And like I said, in a close 12-6 game, the 49ers were leading 6-3 heading into the fourth quarter, and that's when the Rams, you know, started putting up some points. And when I say points, I mean field goals. There wasn't much going. We probably should have taken the under on the points last night.
Yeah, we were way off. Whew.
Way off.
Like, gone.
Hey, that's what happens when you play those Thursday night games. But hopefully our picks do us better today, as we got some really good games. Rick 8-Bit was in the comments yesterday hyping up the entire slate for today. And guys, I want to run through these games, and I want to start out with the Dallas Cowboys and the Carolina Panthers. You obviously have your two representatives right here, myself and Aaron. And I was just going to go ahead and say, you know, if Aaron chooses wrong, wearing that ugly, you know, sweatshirt, we might get our panel down to 3 people. I'll give them a second to think about it, because I'm going to hit up Jason for this prediction first. Cowboys, Panthers. This is the first time the Carolina Panthers have been favored in a game in over 2 years. That is insane to me. So it looks like a toilet bowl. Carolina's favored by 3. I just couldn't imagine a scenario where the Panthers would be favored against the Cowboys. Jason, where are you leaning with this game?
That just shows you how bad the Cowboys are. Look at Carolina. The last 3 games has been in all 3 of those games. Bryce Young is playing much, much better. They lost to Kansas City by a field goal. Lost to Tampa Bay in overtime by a field goal, and we're just so close to Philly. Held them to 22 points, so it was 22-16. So the Panther fans have something to be excited about because they have been playing better. A few little stops here, some good luck one way or the other, and they're winning some games. So give me Carolina. I think this is going to be a big run game. You're going to see Hubbard because he's essentially the running back that they have right now, now that everybody else is hurt. So you're going to see Chuba Hubbard run against that horrible Dallas defense. I just don't think the Dallas Cowboys are playing with any passion right now. I think this is on to next year kind of deal. Not that they're hanging it up, but, guys like CeeDee Lamb, who obviously do not want to get hurt, I think they're going to be putting themselves on a pitch count and kind of walking through this game as opposed to anything. But Carolina is playing for something. They're playing for jobs, and they're playing to feel better about themselves as an organization, knowing that they have some of the pieces there, and then get into next year. They'll get a top draft pick. They don't need the first or second pick because I don't think they're wanting to draft a quarterback. It looks like they're riding with Young, and they're going to go with him into next year. So they're not tanking for Sanders or anybody like that. So give me the Panthers. I think they're going to beat the Cowboys easily. I think this is kind of their Super Bowl. When you can beat up on the Cowboys, a lot of teams like to do that even in a losing season. So go Panthers.
He just hates the Cowboys. Cody, bring some sense to the panel, please.
All right, Michael. Well, judging by the look on your face, I think you're actually agreeing with Jason on this one. And I think you're going to agree with me. And I agree with a lot of Jason's points. The Panthers have been playing with a ton of confidence. They're losing close games. And really, is it because that they're not ready to win? Or again, the Chiefs, for example, they're just a very well-coached team, and they took them all the way to the end of the game. Buccaneers are a potential playoff team. Carolina is staying in these games. Bryce Young has improved a lot since he sat behind Andy Dalton. And if it wasn't for Dalton getting injured because of a car accident, Bryce Young probably wouldn't have gotten this opportunity. But that's probably the best thing that's happened to Young. And so now he's connecting with his receivers. That offensive line is actually blocking really well. Chuba Hubbard is basically a top 10 to 12 kind of a running back statistically. And that's just going towards the offensive line. Cowboys, I think they are in such turmoil, and it did not help that they, lost. And Micah Parsons kind of threw that little hissy fit on the sideline. That's just kind of been broadcasted. And it seems that Micah's really good about talking about how good the Cowboys are. Just the Cowboys can't put that on the field. And to your guys' credit, you guys are going through a ton of injuries. So I think Carolina is favored for a reason. I think they're going to go ahead and take this victory on that. And I have a suspicion that you believe that as well, because you're a little nervous about your Cowboys as well. So that's my prediction. I'm going the Panthers.
Well, Cody, let's wait and see if your prediction about my prediction is right. Aaron, do you think your favorite team pulls it out this weekend in Carolina?
Look, I think they do, and I don't like picking them because every time I pick them, they end up losing. So I don't usually like to pick them, but in this instance, like you said, first time favored in 2 years, I got to back them. They are playing way better football. They are like 1 or 2 plays away from beating legitimate playoff teams, and we're just not seeing that from Dallas. Yes, they have a better record, but I feel like Carolina's played better football lately. I think Chuba Hubbard's going to run all over their defense. Dallas has a really bad run defense. I think 3rd worst in the league, and granted, Carolina has the worst run defense, but I mean, this is going to be close, I think, just because I don't think Carolina has enough pieces, and they are also dealing with an injury bug themselves. They're down a couple key pieces on defense, and Jonathan Brooks is out again. He tore his ACL. That's terrible. We're down to almost practice squad guys. We got Raheem Blackshear at RB2 and brought up of Velus Jones Jr. as our third running back. So hopefully Chuba can stay healthy because he's most of our offense. If Thielen can get open again, make some insane catches like he has the past couple weeks, that man has been the massive bright spot in what has been an otherwise really disappointing receiving core. And also a interesting statistic, these are the two worst scoring defenses in the entire league. The Panthers allow just under 30 points a game, and the Cowboys allow just over 28 points per game. So could it be high scoring? Possibly. The defenses would support it, but the offenses are also really bad too. But I'll go Carolina by 6 points.
Now, you're going Carolina by 6 points. I have covered both of these teams. I'm doing the Cowboys podcasts through Fans First Sports Network, Dad and the Boys, that had to take a week off to handle some family matters this week. But in addition to that, I did cover the Panthers last year for Fans First Sports Network through the Cat Cave. And so I've followed both of these teams, and I can go ahead and say Carolina from last year is improved, especially when you look at they dismissed Brian Burns, they dismissed Frankie Louvu, and over the last few weeks, they are the best pressure when it comes to getting pressure on the quarterback. But Dallas does too. Dallas has Micah Parsons. That makes a huge difference. But Dallas is without DeMarvion Overshown, who has been their second best defensive player all season behind Micah Parsons. And honestly, has probably been the best because Micah missed about 4 to 5 weeks at some point this season. This is tough. I think it's going to be like who can protect the quarterback the best. But when I look at the weapons that Dallas has, I'm going to trust CeeDee Lamb. I'm going to trust Brandon Cooks. I'm going to trust an offense that's using Kevontae Turpin to make some bigger plays than Bryce Young at 5'5", standing behind the offensive line and trying not to get eaten alive by the lion Micah Parsons. So let me be the lone wolf. Let me get the Dallas Cowboys. But it's not going to be pretty, guys. They have Carolina favored by 3. I think it's going to be Dallas by 3. But that's my take on that. The next game we have are the Miami Dolphins at the Houston Texans. The Dolphins will not have Odell Beckham like he's been a factor this year, but Dolphins tried to stay alive in the wild card race. The Texans are at 8-5. Trying to, remain atop the AFC South. They got a 2-game lead right now over the Indianapolis Colts. But it is the Dolphins in Houston. Cody, where are you going with this one?
I like that the Dolphins have been hot, although they did come out with a close victory against the Jets, which I love seeing the Jets lose. So that's another conversation for another day. But I think what I'm a little apprehensive about with this is they're going to be in Houston, and Houston's really good at home. I think that bye week really kind of helped them out a lot because, Tank Dell is got to find a way to get reincorporated with this because he, for some reason, has not been up to what he should be within this offense. And then you have Nico Collins, who's injured. I think he's played 3 games up until this bye week. So he's still getting almost acclimated into being a regular contributor. Are they injured on both sides of the ball? Yes. However, I just trust that the Houston Texans are a little bit more formed and they're prepared for this. I like their defense still, even though they're going to be without that linebacker that knocked out. I can't remember who the quarterback. Oh, Trevor Lawrence, excuse me. And I think Houston is still poised to be a team that's going to control their destiny. And I like them in this matchup against the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are coming out of a hole that they dug themselves, that it's almost too far gone. And I suspect Houston here will take care of business.
He's expecting Houston to take care of business. Aaron, you've been a big CJ Stroud guy. You might be happy that the Panthers took Bryce Young instead, finally, maybe, ? But do you think CJ Stroud and the Texans get done against Miami?
It's tricky. I have been a big Stroud guy, but this Houston team has been painfully inconsistent all season. I can't feel good picking this team anymore. And Miami is I feel like they're fighting for pride at this point. This season's been rough after Tua went down early, and they just haven't been able to look like we expected. Like Cody said, a not good loss to the Jets. They went to overtime. The Dolphins should have won that game handily in regulation, but evidently they can't. But I'm gonna go Miami for an upset just purely based on how inconsistent this Houston team has been. And I mean, Miami's still got some fight to them. They haven't been what we expected, but neither has Houston, and Houston's hit or miss, and I'm banking on them to miss this week.
Hey, wow. Aaron's banking against CJ Stroud and his Texans. Jason, we're split right now. Who are you leaning towards, Houston or Miami?
This is a tough game to call. Houston has been wildly inconsistent. CJ Stroud, the last 3 games, has 3 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. I mean, that's you talk about sophomore slump. And he's got really good wide receivers. He's got Dalton Schultz. Mixon's been running the ball really, really well. So you're just questioning, like, why is he having these problems? I know you lost Nico, but you still got Tank Dell. You still had some wide receivers there to help you. You still had a run game. But Miami, too. Miami is kind of beat up. I think Waddle's hurt a little bit. They really struggled offensively against the Jets. I mean, I know the Jets have a good defense, but they should have whooped a woeful Jets team pretty bad if you want to start making noise and really get into trying to get to the playoffs. I think Houston ekes it out. It's in Houston. CJ Stroud coming off the bye. Nico's going to be a little bit healthier. They're going to get Dell on the same page. They're going to run the ball with Mixon. I think they want to keep the ball out of A-Chain's hands and out of Tua's hands. So give me the Houston Texans. It's going to be close. I don't think it's going to be a blowout because neither one of their defenses, Houston nor Miami, is really a shutdown defense. But I think Houston takes it. They're at home. They have a little more to play for. I think they're playing a little bit better on offense than the Miami Dolphins are right now. Miami Dolphins still pretty inconsistent also.
So he's signing with Cody with Houston Texans. Now, I want to make note, CJ Stroud's been a sophomore slump the last few games that, Jason mentioned. I'm looking at their schedule, and since they beat a very good Buffalo Bills team earlier this year, their only wins have come against the Patriots, the Colts, the Cowboys, and the Jaguars. All 4 of those teams were struggling at points when they played them. But you look at the Miami Dolphins, since they got Tua back healthy, they've won 4 of their last 5. So I think that streak continues. I don't think it'll be an upset because I'm expectant of Miami to get their offense going. And for some reason, I'm going to side with Aaron on that one. But next we have the Colts at the Denver Broncos. The Colts, Houston rivals, so they're trying and especially hoping that Houston loses. But it's going to be Bo Nix at home with Sean Payton playing the Indianapolis Colts. Jason, where do you see this one going?
Well, I jumped on real quick because I'm like, okay, it's in Denver. Let's check the weather out. You got a dome team going to Denver, and it's going to be 52 degrees and sunny. So I don't think that's – it's a great weather. But Denver's defense is legit. Richardson has been playing better, but against a really, really good defense, I think he's going to have a lot of trouble. Give me Denver. The only questions I have on Denver right now is their run game is a little bit suspect, but Bo Nix, again, with a stacked rookie class this year, you got Daniels, you got Nix, Brock Bowers. To me, again, if these 2 quarterbacks weren't playing out of their minds, Brock Bowers would be, to me, the rookie of the year. I think he is a phenomenal tight end for your Raiders there. But give me Denver. It's mile high. I think Indiana's going to be a little short of breath. Richardson still, he's been playing better, but again, just still inconsistent. So I'm going with Denver's D against Richardson. I think they're going to give him fits. And he's going to be a little bit – you talk about gassed. He was gassed at home. What the heck's he going to do when he's a mile up in the sky? So I think he's going to be gassed by the end of the first quarter. So give me Denver.
Aaron, do you think Anthony Richardson taps out, subs himself out? Who wins this game, the Colts or the Broncos?
I feel like the Broncos got it. Like Jason said, you got a legitimate Rookie of the Year candidate in Bo Nix. He's been playing great the last half of the season, bounced back after a rough start, and Richardson is too inconsistent to bank on him to go up against a top 5 defense in the league and be able to pull off the win. And Denver's playing really good football as of late. I think they get it done against the Colts pretty easily.
Cody, is that a clean sweep for you guys?
For me, it is. I mean, Denver arguably is a sleeper team in the AFC. If they get a wild card spot, which it looks like they will, they could be a team that can knock off a powerful AFC team, and it wouldn't be shocking just because it's how strong that defense is. Sean Payton has Bo Nix playing very well, even though he's a rookie. I think some of the receiving weapons, Courtland Sutton's a good player, but outside of that, I'm a little curious on who their number 2 or number 3 guy is. The run game, questionable, but I think with the Colts, at least in this game, Anthony Richardson is turnover prone, even though he is slightly better from when he was benched. He's also injury prone. I'm not saying that I wish him to be injured, but I would not be surprised if Anthony Richardson doesn't make it out of this game because the Denver Broncos have a ferocious front and they will get after you in a hurry. I don't care how athletic you are. They will get you. And Patrick Surtain II, he will be waiting in the wings to just absolutely pick off the mistakes that Anthony Richardson will probably make. So I'm going Denver. Will it be a high-scoring game? I'm not sure because I think the Colts defense is better than people give them respect for, but Broncos are absolutely going to take the Colts and make glue out of them. So,
and you brought up a good point. Both of these defenses, the Colts, giving up 22.9 points per game, not bad, about middle of the pack, but the Denver Broncos are second in the NFL with the Detroit Lions and Philadelphia Eagles at 18 points a game. The only other team better than that are the LA Chargers. So I'm really excited about Bo Nix. I've said it before on this program that Bo Nix and Sean Payton work when Russell Wilson and Mike Tomlin work. And there's nothing wrong with that. You just need to find the perfect union. And I think they have. And I think the Broncos, doesn't matter if it's 52 and sunny. The Broncos are going to beat the Colts. But this game is going to be played inside. It's not going to be played in the cold in Buffalo. Bills, Lions, this is one of the biggest games of the season, biggest game of the weekend as well. The Lions only have one loss right now. But the Buffalo Bills are the only team to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. So they can play up to their competition, even if they let one slide last week against the Los Angeles Rams. Aaron, when you look at this Bills-Lions matchup, how are you feeling about this one? Because this is going to be a good game.
Oh, man, I'm excited. I hope it can live up to expectations because this feels like a possible Super Bowl preview. Like you said, the Bills are the only team to beat the Chiefs, and Detroit's been great. I feel like Detroit is the Super Bowl favorite, in my opinion, at this point in the season. I hope we see a game like Rams-Bills from last week because, I mean, both of these offenses are just phenomenal. Detroit has the best running back room in the league. Josh Allen's MVP frontrunner playing the best football of his entire career. It's tricky to pick this one for me, Michael. I wish you would have let me go last. Honestly, give me a little bit more time to make up my mind because I'm not completely set. What I'm landing on is I can't pick Detroit though. They've just got it this season. They're playing with a certain type of energy and passion. Dan Campbell's got them rolling like we haven't seen too many teams roll the last few years. I'm gonna back Detroit in a close game. I think they win it by 1 score.
Aaron, I put you on blast first on purpose, especially wearing that Carolina garbage. Cody, when you look at this Bills Lions game, dude, it's gonna be awesome. But who do you think pulls it out?
Well, I echo what Aaron says. This is probably a Super Bowl preview. At least one of 2 games this week. Actually, we have the luxury of possible, Super Bowl preview, and I'm sure the second one is the next game we'll talk about. But in this game in particular, I think what I'm curious to see is how the defenses play. The Bills, how they looked against the Rams, letting 44 points be posted on them makes me a little apprehensive because the Rams' weapons, are a little underrated, but I think obviously with what the Lions have is superior to what the Rams have. And it makes me wonder, can the Bills keep up with the Lions defensively? Because I do feel like this could be a defensive battle, but I just trust, man, there's this magic with the Lions that are happening right now. This is in Detroit. They are looking to get 12 straight wins. And I think that's going to happen. It's going to be really hard for the Bills to come out on top in this game, in my opinion. So I got the Lions on this one.
He's got the Lions. Jason, is that a clean sweep for you guys?
If this game is 12-6, I'm going to throw up. This is one of those things. It better not be. We're touting this up like this is going to be an arena football game. And I want to know what the over/under is on going for it on fourth down on both sides. I wonder if like both of these teams are going to like, let's see who can go for fourth down on the most. I think Detroit has the edge. Their defense is a little bit better. Again, Buffalo Bills showed it last week that their defense is suspect right now, giving up that much to the Rams. Josh Allen is playing out of his mind. 3 touchdowns in the air, 3 touchdowns on the ground. But I think he can only do so much. He's going to start running out of gas. You're getting into the length of the season here, and you're going to get hit. And then one of those times he gets hit, if he gets hurt, what's Buffalo going to do? Jared Goff, if Josh Allen wasn't playing out of his mind and Saquon Barkley wasn't going to rush for 2,000 yards, Jared Goff would be up there for MVP considerations because he's probably having one of the most efficient, incredible NFL seasons ever. He's got so many weapons. He's playing incredibly efficient. He doesn't need to throw the ball 50 times a game. He throws it less than 20 a game and still has 300 plus yards and 2-3 touchdowns. So he's playing really, really well. I also give the edge to that run game. I mean, Detroit, that 2-headed monster, Sonic and Knuckles together. So I think that's going to be a huge game plan for Dan Campbell is run the football because the less Josh Allen is on the field, the less Josh Allen hurts you. So watch Detroit ground and pound the football, try to run some clock, go for it on fourth down and whatever, and try to drag this game out. And they have more firepower. So give me Detroit. I think Detroit beats them handily. Buffalo, they have some shortcomings. They're playing really, really well, but it's not translating over to the field on defense right now.
So you guys are all taking the Buffalo Bills against the Detroit Lions. And that's tempting because you look at this Detroit team and they are playing like they I've only lost to the Buccaneers week 2 and everyone else they've just, ran through. And there's definitely something exciting happening there in Detroit. I mean, they're ranking above and beyond, like, 4th in passing yards, 4th in rushing yards, the highest scoring offense in the NFL, second best defense in the NFL when it comes to points allowed. But we have to realize that any given Sunday, somebody can win.
Yeah, do it, Michael. Do it.
No one circles the wagon
why.
like the Buffalo Bills.
I am going to tell you why. The Buffalo Bills.
That's right.
Will win this game. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Okay? They beat the Chiefs. They showed they could go up against the best and hottest offense or the hottest team and outman them. Like, they not only beat the Chiefs
are the luckiest team. They're not the hottest team.
They win by luck, honestly.
The Chiefs were the last undefeated team. The Chiefs were the last undefeated team. They were back-to-back Super Bowl champions. And the Buffalo Bills were like, hey, we're here. Okay? Nobody expected Buffalo to do that. Okay? Fast forward to last week. And the team just couldn't stop anything. The Rams got healthy, got hot, and any given Sunday, the Rams beat the Bills, which allows people to doubt if Buffalo can actually do this when they have the daunting Detroit Lions ahead of them. Do you really think a good coach like Sean McDermott is going to let this team be embarrassed like they were on defense against the LA Rams and then come out and lay an egg in Detroit? No, absolutely not. Yeah, I got the Buffalo Bills, and I'll go ahead and say this. If it's not Saquon and if it's not Derrick Henry, this is the game Josh Allen solidifies his first MVP award. This is going to be it.
I can just see Detroit absolutely bludgeoning to death the Bills just because there's a lot of, again, Josh Allen is the MVP. This is probably like a Super Bowl matchup. And I think Dan Campbell and that offense are going to want to come out and put a statement and separate themselves from the Bills. Like, don't get me wrong. Bills are a very good football team. And I can understand the comparison to they're the only ones to beat the Chiefs, who are injured, by the way, who don't have their number one wide receiver, who didn't have their number one running back. So sure. However, Detroit has Amon St. Brown, Sonic and Knuckles, Sam Laporta. I mean, and what's the other wide receiver's name? Jamison Williams. Is that correct? The one that can high flyer.
Tim
I don't know
Patrick. The list.
I don't know
on.
what the Bills can do to stop all of that in Detroit. I'm just saying, I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit wins by 2+, maybe even 3 touchdowns.
Well, see, I had 2 options to jinx teams this week. I could have jinxed the Panthers. I could have jinxed the Detroit Lions. But instead, I'm just going to take the lone wolf points right here. I'm going to win those 2 games. And the next game we have is not another contender for game of the week, but it is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Los Angeles Chargers. We were talking about how impressive the Denver Broncos have been out in the AFC West, and you can't discard the LA Chargers. The LA Chargers first-year head coach Jim Harbaugh doing this after the team, moved on from Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, and they're riding the back of rookie wideout from Georgia, Ladd McConkey, and a great defense, number 1 defense in the league, playing against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are fighting for a playoff spot. If the Buccaneers win their division, right now they sit atop of it at 7-6, but the Atlanta Falcons and even New Orleans Saints are still in that race in the NFC South. So these are 2 teams we could likely see in the playoffs: Bucks, Chargers, and I'm gonna go eeny, meeny, miny, Aaron to start this one.
Look, to your point about the Saints still being in it, mathematically, the Panthers can still win it too. They're not technically eliminated yet. If we want to throw that out there, I think the Saints have like a 1% chance to make the playoffs, and Carolina might have like a 0.5% chance. It's gonna come down to Tampa and Atlanta for that division, and it's gonna be Tampa. This is the number 1 scoring defense against the number 5 scoring offense. It's gonna be a classic defense versus offense matchup that I'm excited to watch. I love seeing 2 good units match up like that. It's going to come down to if Ladd McConkey is healthy and he plays. I think he's still questionable as of now. I think if he's out, the Bucs are going to get it done. I don't think the Chargers have enough to get going on offense without McConkey, but for the sake of making this pick, I'm going to say McConkey is going to be healthy and he'll play. I'm going to back the Chargers to get it done. And part of my reasoning for that is Carolina played Tampa super close, and the Chargers have a way, way better defense than Carolina does. And I think that defense is going to step up and be the reason they win that ball game.
And Ladd McConkey is listed questionable right now for both a knee and a shoulder. Jason, how do you see it going?
If there's an MVP for heart, Baker Mayfield gets my MVP, man. You talk about a guy playing with a lot of heart right now. Look, the Bucs have no Bucky Irving. It's looking like he's going to be out, but they still got White. Evans just hit. He's going to be healthy. He's going to play in this game. They're on a 3-game win streak right now. Tampa Bay sees a path to the playoffs. Look, the Chargers are coming off a bad loss to a bad Kansas City football team. They're missing J.K. Ladd's banged up. You talk about a young wide receiver injured. It's hard to bounce back when you're a veteran and you know how to kind of take care of yourself and mitigate your injury and go out there and play. It's another thing when you're a rookie learning how to play with an injury. So Ladd the Impaler, I love him. I think he's going to be a star in this league, but I think the khaki pants don't get it done this weekend. I think it's Tampa Bay all the way. Fire the cannons, baby. Tampa Bay Bucks.
Can't believe he said bad Kansas City team, and he's a Giants fan. Giants are bad. Chiefs
No, we are horrible, trash, lower than snail poop. There's a difference. There's bad, and then there's levels to
There's
this.
bad, and then there's the Giants.
Then there's like New York City sewer bad.
But the Chiefs are not bad, even though Cody
They
wished
are.
they were.
Just
I
admit
wish
it.
they were.
Cody wishes they
They're
were.
a doink and a fumbled snap away from losing. All right, never mind. We'll go.
Hey.
All right, go ahead.
Hey, don't hate on greatness. Cody, do you see the Bucks or the another AFC West rivalry, or the Chargers pulling it out this week?
You know what? I really want to pick Baker Mayfield. I really want to trust the Buccaneers. I want it because I do believe that they are going to win their division. I agree with Aaron. I think Buccaneers are probably going to win. I don't trust the Falcons. Carolina mathematically is in it, but of course we kind of know that's not going to happen. Saints, they're going to be eliminated probably this weekend. So it stands to reason that, like, Tampa Bay has more to play for. They have, they should win this. They're coming off of a 3-game win streak. So yeah, it's in their court to do so. But I just have this feeling that the Chargers are going to be a little bit more prepared. I agree, like J.K. Dobbins not being there is a huge hit. But if McConkey does play, I think that is a huge X factor. Even still, I think that defense is very hard to score on for the Buccaneers. And I have a feeling that they're going to run into a wall and they're not going to be able to put up points. And if it gets into like a field goal shootout, I trust the Chargers to outlast the Buccaneers. I feel like they're just better coached. Will I take the over on the points? Probably not. But I'm not sure if I'm ready to commit to the Buccaneers against the Chargers, who are coming off of a divisional loss, and they will have a chip on their shoulder, and they will want to prove that, no, we are going to be effective in the AFC. And the next time we see the Chiefs, we will take care of business, whether that's in the wild card or whatever. But I do think that the Chargers are going to take this one. And I hate that you have me picking against my AFC rivals. I just want to say this is absolutely ridiculous. I've gone 2 for 2 now on AFC West rivals right now. But again, I have to side with, I think it just lines up for the Chargers for me in this weekend.
So Cody stole all my points. Now, but with this game, which is terrible, because I was like, you know what? Jim Harbaugh is such a good coach. And I was looking at their schedule, and the only time that he followed up one loss with another was when he lost in Pittsburgh and then came back home and lost to the Chiefs. So I don't fault him for that. But after he lost to the Cardinals, they beat the Saints. After he lost to the Ravens, they beat the Falcons. Now they've lost to the Chiefs, and they have the Buccaneers. And I was going to go ahead and pick the Buccaneers, but I saw Buccaneers are having to travel all the way across the country. So that messes with a team's rhythm, especially when they're not as well coached as a team like the Chargers are. As much as you're going up against one of the tougher defenses, probably the toughest defense in the league with the LA Chargers. So I'm going and I'm siding with the Chargers to pull this out. And I'll go ahead and say Tampa can lose this game and still make the playoffs.
Yep.
The Chargers know they can't win their division. So they need to rack up as many wins as they can, get their wild card spot in the best possible chance, and they need to handle business against the Bucks. Because afterwards they got the Broncos, another AFC West rival doing really good. That's going to be a pivotal matchup. And then you end the season with the Patriots and Raiders on the road. So Chargers looking up. Jim Harbaugh, don't know how you did it. I really don't, but you're a saint, honestly. But we got the Steelers and the Eagles in an in-state rivalry this weekend. This was the game that Cody was referring to. Steelers being 10-3, Eagles being 11-2. Guys, this is I had not expected either of these teams to be in the position they were, especially the Steelers. And with Saquon Barkley being an MVP candidate. Cody, you're really excited about this game. How do you see this one falling?
Well, as I'm watching SportsCenter right now, the news broke that George Pickens is probably going to be out for this game. So that's a huge blow for the Steelers. I think had he been there, it might make it a little bit more interesting. But, as I recorded my show, I did pick the Steelers, and the reason why, and I'm going to pick them on this show. I do think that the Steelers will pull out the victory in Philadelphia. I know it's going to be a tough matchup on the road, but I just feel like that Mike Tomlin has got this team on another level, and they're just in sync. The change to Russell Wilson was a bold one, probably solidified Mike Tomlin as the coach of the year. Even though they're shorthanded in weapons, I think their defense can keep this game close enough to where if they just make enough of the right plays, keep moving the ball a little bit, they can surprise some people. I like the Eagles. And don't get me wrong, the Eagles are probably like the second hottest NFC team. But with the drama that they have for A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts and Brandon Graham saying all that he had said, this Eagle team seems like the most dysfunctional powerhouse in the NFC. And I just trust Mike Tomlin's coaching over Nick Sirianni, who, in my opinion, Nick Sirianni, he's kind of the wild card amongst all this in terms of like, is this team ready to go? Can he be the cool head in the room to get them ready to go? I don't know. I know Mike Tomlin, though, is going to have these guys ready to rock and roll regardless of who's ready to go or injured or whatnot. So as reluctant as I am, because again, I do think the Eagles are a very good NFC team, I'm going to side with the Steelers in this game.
Wow.
And I'm going on a limb here. I
Wow.
think Mike Tomlin and the Steelers are going to surprise people. Well,
Rick 8-Bit saying a phrase that I won't repeat, but I'll just remind Rick 8-Bit that the Eagles did beat your team. So be careful what you say. I mean, he is a Ravens guy, so he's definitely rooting against Pittsburgh. He's a no-win situation right there. Jason, you seem pretty shocked by Cody's prediction.
A little bit. It's not always sunny in Philadelphia with their little drama going on between Hurts and A.J. Brown. That's going to be interesting, but this is going to be the makeup game. So watch A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts kind of try to hook each other up because, again, they see the promised land. They want to get there. They know they have a really, really good team right now. Saquon Barkley's playing out of his mind. He deserves as much MVP consideration, if not more, because he really makes up for some of the inefficiencies of that Eagles offense. Like if he wasn't there, this Eagles team would be trash because they have not played some good offensive games. So Saquon is definitely MVP consideration. But right now, Hurts and A.J. Brown, Smith is back. Saquon Barkley, that's just too much offense. The Eagles defense, a little bit suspect, but Pittsburgh going into Philadelphia, and you guys know Philadelphia, that stadium is crazy hard to play in because those Philly fans are absolutely insane, especially an in-state rivalry going on. Russell Wilson's going to have a tough time. He doesn't have his top target. I trust the Eagles' run game, and that stupid tush push more than I trust Russell Wilson and his run game. So give me the Eagles. I think the Eagles win handily. I just don't see Pittsburgh being able to put up enough points and dealing with some of the offensive weapons. So the Eagles need to play well in this game with all the drama that's been coming out this week about Hurts and A.J. Brown. I think that really the Eagles offense is going to try to focus on coming together and showing the NFL that they're a top tier team. So give me the Eagles.
I'm biting my tongue because Cody or Jason stole my notes again for this game with the reason I picked a certain team. There's
great minds think alike. That's just great
go.
Minds think alike, man. Come on.
I didn't say I agreed with your mind. Come on now. I've said on the show before, I like Mike Tomlin as a coach of the year. Aaron, I'll let you be the tiebreaker, and then I'll be the sense of reason.
I got to go Philly. No George Pickens. I don't think the Steelers offense has enough pieces to really get going. And Jason, to your point about the Eagles being a suspect defense, they allow the fewest yards per game in the entire league. So that is a stout unit that can be suspect, but going up against a rough Steelers offense that doesn't really have any receiving weapons and Najee Harris just isn't very good, I got to go Eagles. And coming off of a rough game to Carolina, they won, but they did not look very good. I think they're going to come out, they're going to play hard, they're going to play angry, and they're going to get it done at home.
All right.
Come on, Michael. Join the bandwagon.
Jason's even left the building for this. How disrespectful. How disrespectful. Yeah, I told you had to come back in.
I'm back.
Hey, come on now.
The dogs were getting angry. I had to calm the dogs down because they're even getting angry.
Yeah, go dogs.
Well, they heard you pick the Eagles. That's why.
Don't say go dogs. No, absolutely not.
Jason provided one of the best sound bites. I think that was last week when you were on with the dogs. That was a good time. But this is going to be a good game. And I've said it time and time again this year. The Steelers should not be here. Mike Tomlin is coach of the year. And you look at that roster and you're like, who is there? Like Najee Harris isn't that good, like Aaron said. Oh, we got George Pickens out. They shouldn't have changed quarterbacks mid-year. They were doing just fine. Mike Tomlin gets those guys ready to play. They do. With that said, without George Pickens, Freiermuth is the next leading receiver. He's a tight end at 470 yards, 44 catches, and 5 touchdowns. The next guy, Calvin Austin, with 23 catches, 387 yards, and 4 touchdowns. There's no offensive productivity after George Pickens is gone. So George Pickens leaving, but also the Eagles with their young corners, Kenyon Mitchell is wreaking havoc. Cooper DeJean, they are playing not like rookies. They are playing like men. And I did not see that coming for Philadelphia. I think Saquon runs the ball hard. I think he's chasing 2,000 yards. I think he's chasing the first MVP since Adrian Peterson won it way back when in Minnesota. And also Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, they hear the media. They're going to fix it. Unfortunately, I'm going to let Cody be the lone wolf, and I'm going to pick the Eagles to win this game. That's how I see this panning out. But that's not going to ruin Mike Tomlin's Coach of the Year candidacy. Our final game, we finally made it to Sunday Night Football. We got the Green Bay Packers at the Seattle Seahawks. Now, many moons ago when Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers were quarterbacking those respective teams, one of these Sunday night games ended in controversy.
The Hail Mary.
The Hail Mary, whether it happens again or not, Packers Seahawks with playoff implications. We have this game. Jason, who do you see winning? Is it Jordan Love or Geno Smith?
It's all about the love movement, baby. Jordan Love, I think, is going to play much better in this game. Dobbs is off of concussion protocol, so he's going to have another wide receiver back. They've just won the last 3 out of 4. They got within 3 points of the Lions, so they played the Lions, again, the best team in the NFL. They played the Lions really well. And Seattle, again, wildly inconsistent. They don't have Walker, although I love some Charbonnet. A little glass of Charbonnet before bedtime is good for you. But nobody in that NFC West wants to frickin' win it. It is unbelievable. So Seattle, I think, is going to lay an egg. You're going to have this immensely crazy tie. I'd love to see maybe a coin flip or put the football at the 50-yard line and get a representative from Seattle and the Rams and the Cardinals and see who gets the ball. Maybe that'll choose who wins this division.
Not even going to mention the 49ers?
No.
Oh, no, we're not going to mention them.
The old FXL.
XFL. Yeah, there you
kickoff,
go.
Yeah.
But Seattle, I think, is going to have a rough time. Packers, they need to keep pace and win some games. They know they're not winning the North. They have to keep up with the Lions. They have to keep up with Minnesota. They don't want to get gypped out of a wild card position. So give me Love. Give me the Packers. I think they go into Seattle and play really well. Unfortunately, I think Geno lays an egg and they lose this game, and that NFC West becomes even more of a muddy mess.
And, Rick 8-Bit bringing up a good point. The Packers would be leading 3 divisions right now. They would be leading the NFC South. They would be leading the AFC South, and they would be leading Seattle Seahawks and the NFC West. And currently Green Bay sits 3rd in their own division. Aaron, when you look at this Sunday night football game, I know you're going to preview it this Sunday after the afternoon games and right before Sunday night with the Gridiron Address that, streams live on Sunday evenings. But, if you had to pick 2 days before that, where are you leaning?
I got to go Green Bay. Like Jason said, this Seattle team has been super inconsistent. They've been playing some decent football. Charbonnet had a monster game last week, but I think Green Bay's got a little bit more going for him. I think Love's going to bounce back. He's going to look good. Seattle does not have a very good run defense either. They give up 126 yards a game, and they played the best team in the NFL in Detroit super close 2 games now. They almost won both of them. If a couple different plays went their way, then they would have pulled it off against Detroit in at least one, if not both of them. Like Carson said, the NFC North this year is the best division in history. I don't know if I agree with that just because I can't think of other really good divisions. I know NFC South I think they put 3 teams in the playoffs like a decade ago or something, but I got to go Green Bay. I'm not super crazy on Seattle. I think no Kenneth Walker does hurt them a little bit, makes them slightly more one-dimensional in the running game. But and Geno Smith, man, he's on the downhill of his career, honestly. I think he might have like another year or 2 before they got to move on from him. And earlier in the season, it looked like he was done. And to give him some credit, he's been able to bounce back and play better football as the season's winding down and Seattle's pushing for a playoff spot. But I think Green Bay's got too much good going for him. Dobbs is back. There's no way Jaden Reed lays a egg again and doesn't do anything. I think he's going to bounce back and Green Bay wins it in a pretty good game, hopefully.
And a pretty good game. Carson's hoping for a Packers win, calling the NFC North best division in history, the host of Lombardi Party. And Rick 8-Bit, a little stinger right here. Remember when the Bears this season made everyone thinking that whole division would be in the playoffs? I picked the Bears to win this division. That's what I picked.
No.
That's aging really well.
Oh, no. Why?
I thought Eberflus
thought it was 1986. I think he had a flashback or something.
He didn't know what to do. The Bears finally had a quarterback. This is their year.
Yeah.
All right, Cody, simmer down. You got your pick ready for this game, Sunday Night Football. So you can stop making fun of my NFC North prediction. Yeah, it's streaming right there at the bottom. Go ahead, tell me.
Okay, so it's clearly the Green Bay Packers. In my opinion, the Seattle Seahawks are the pretenders in the NFC. The only reason why they're even in this conversation is because they're just leading the division that they represent. I do think that the LA Rams will win the West at the end of the day. And this is why I think the Seahawks are suspect, and we should not be buying that they are going to make any sort of relative noise in the NFC. The last 6 games, they lost back-to-back games against the Bills and the Rams. Their next 4 games that they do win, 2 of them against Carolina or against the Cardinals, one of them against the Jets. So to me, that doesn't mean that you're a good playoff team. That just means that you beat teams that you should beat. They're poor teams. Green Bay Packers have a really good defense that no one really respects. They have athletes on that side of the ball that are going to get after you, that will shut down your passing offense. They were able to hang with the Lions up until, that 4th down play that Campbell called. So the Packers are, in my opinion, a much more reliable playoff team in the NFC than the Seahawks. And Love is now going to have Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, all healthy for one of the first times in the entire season. I just don't know, and not to mention their tight end Kraft. I just don't see how Green Bay is not the overwhelming favorite, and Seattle is not the 12th man like it used to be back in the day against the Legion of Boom. So they are unfortunately going to get tied or they're going to lose in this game. They're going to lose their lead to the Rams, and I agree with Jason and Aaron. They're probably going to move off of Geno within the next season or 2. So give me the Packers in this one.
And Carson saying Jair Alexander hurt too. Doesn't matter. Packers by 14. I don't know if it's going to be 14 points. I think it's going to be close, but the Packers are top 10 in a lot of categories. Passing yards per game, rushing yards per game, points scored, points allowed. They're a solid top 10 team. I'm sure Carson is enjoying that. And you know what? I'm on not be the lone wolf this time. I'm not risking that right here. Either we all get it or we don't get it. So we'll do the Green Bay Packer clean sweep here on the panel. But guys, I appreciate you all joining us today for Out of Pocket. Carson, Rick 8-Bit, Podcast Smitty in the comments here. It's been quite the time. I'm going to let these guys plug whatever they would like to plug for this week or this weekend, starting with our guest from Drew Code Sports Talk, that YouTube channel, my friend Cody. What can they expect over at your YouTube channel?
So weekly podcast episodes. Check us out on YouTube. We're available wherever you get your audio podcasts as well. So that way, if someone has a long commute or wants to listen to us at work, we're available on there as well. All social media platforms, Drew Code Sports Talk. So check us out. And actually, Michael, you and I were texting about this. There's going to be a nice little collaboration, hopefully next week if schedules permit. So fun things are on the horizon. So
fun things are on the horizon for you and me, and for Drew Code Sports Talk. They have their own YouTube channel. You guys can subscribe. And if you're already a subscriber to Boom, you know it's free to subscribe. It just supports them and allows them to keep creating their content, just like we do, just like Jason or Rudolph does for not one, but 2 episodes a week. Jason, what can they expect from you from this past week? Rudolph and his red-nosed reindeer.
It's frozen in time.
He wasn't allowed to join in any
frozen.
reindeer games.
Dig that back here. Sideline Savants again. You got fantasy football playoffs heating up. So check Sideline Savants out. We help with that, especially with you if you need help with your playoffs. And then 3 from deep. You know, we had the Emirates Cup. You got the semifinals going on Saturday. So I'll touch base on that. And then next Monday at 12 p.m., 3 from deep drops. So I go over the NBA heating up right now. A lot of stuff going on behind the scenes as far as hot stove talk and maybe some trading going on. So a lot of exciting things. This is the best time of year as a sports fan. So I got my reindeer ears on. I got my exciting nose here. So let's go. Boom Broadcasting YouTube channel. Check us out, man. Like and subscribe. Lots of great content all over the board. So we appreciate it.
So breaking news, the Miami Heat have completed a trade. Yep. This is real. Hold on. This is real. Shams reported that the Miami Heat have made a deal with the Indiana Pacers to send Thomas Bryant over there with a future 2nd-round pick swap.
Fun.
So the Miami Heat have completed a trade.
No Jimmy buckets.
Yeah, Jimmy ain't getting
I know
traded.
you were sweating. You saw Heat and trade. I know you were sweating. You were sweating a little bit.
I mean, it's because I'm under the bright lights. I'm in a hoodie. And honorary oos. But Aaron, you got Gridiron Address this Sunday. If anyone hasn't tuned into that, what can they expect this Sunday from your show?
Another super fun recap. Guests are still undetermined because I've had a interesting week, to put it lightly. So I haven't really had too much time to reach out to people and see who I can get on. But we're covering as many of the games as we can hit on in 30, 35 minutes. We're gonna preview Packers Seahawks in a little more detail, hopefully, as long as we don't run over, because we get talking, comments get going, and we run long sometimes. So be sure to tune into that. We go live 7:45 Sunday night. Hopefully I'll have the guests determined tomorrow. Hopefully I can figure it out. Had a couple last second changes before, but it's part of the fun in doing a live show. Got to keep me on my toes, but also this isn't football or basketball related, but I just got to say I found a Bobby Bonilla baseball card and a Doc Ellis card at an antique store the other day, and I just think that's really cool. I spent 75 cents on the 2 of them, but I don't care. I think it's amazing. It's a Bobby Bonilla Mets card too. It's kind of hilarious.
Bobby Bonilla thinks of the Soto deal. So
fun fact, did you know that the Mets will be paying Soto only 4 years after Bobby Bonilla's deal is over?
Exactly.
Isn't that wild?
Yes.
Oh,
it's crazy.
Oh, well, Carson says
Carson
get me
wants
in there.
on. Absolutely. I'll text you after we get off, Carson, but I'll 100% get you on.
That'd be good for him to preview that Sunday night matchup with the Green Bay Packers and Seattle Seahawks, and get his opinion on what the Packers do. But Aaron mentioned live streams are a lot of fun. That's why we do Lives Without a Pocket 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. Aaron does his live Gridiron Address on Sundays. And we're not done yet today, guys. We had quick hits drop earlier this afternoon by our own podcast Smitty, talking about Bill Belichick coming to his UNC Tar Heels, talking about some of the games this weekend, so on and so forth. But we also have the nightcap. We didn't have one Monday. Schedules decided to not be kind to us, but it's spooky season. It's Friday the 13th, mouthing off with Mike after Friday night SmackDown tonight. Me and Mike are going to get a little freaky on the nightcap talking about the wrestling, and it's going to be quite the time. If you guys have ever watched me and Mike get together late at night after watching wrestling, who knows whatever happens. It gets crazy. It gets wild. And I can't wait to be back with one of my good friends who's also got a pretty cool name. But guys, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks for staying a little over with us today. Go subscribe to Drew Code Sports Talk on YouTube. Be sure to tune in Sunday to watch the Gridiron Address, a recap of the afternoon games, a preview of the Sunday night football game. Jason's dropped not one, but two episodes, 3 from Deep, and Sideline Savants. If you need fantasy playoff advice, that is where you need to go. But for Cody, Aaron, Jason, myself, Michael Davis, this has been Out of Pocket, and we'll see you back here for some live sports action at 5:30 on Monday.
Well, that's it. I really hope you enjoyed it. We had a ball making it. Thank you very much.